we're going to take some time for some questions now, but if you don't have any questions right now and you think of some later on, you can always send me a note. I always respond. So thank you so much for your kind attention, and we'll turn it back over to Gilda and Heather and see if there's any questions.
Heather, I know you have oh, Shauna, that was wonderful. Just wonderful. I always learn from you every time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Heather, take the first question.
Sure. Dr. Shapiro, when's the best time of day to practice meditation?
Oh, that's a great question, actually. Well, it's interesting. I used to say whenever it works. I was a single mom for a long time and worked full time, and it was hard to find time. However, recent research came out at UC San Francisco a few years ago that showed that morning and evening are the most powerful times to practice, that actually your mood in the morning and your mood in the evening predict the length of your telomeres and the health of your mitochondria, which are your body's kind of battery. So it's really important to take care of the first thing in the morning and right before bed. And so these are wonderful times to practice. They're wonderful times also to practice with your children.
Thank you. So I love the idea of what you practice grows stronger. And I was just thinking about the idea of, if I'm feeling sad and I keep myself feeling it, will it end up growing into a form of depression? Or, if I keep that feeling going. So what would you suggest to do with your feelings that you don't want to grow?
Yeah, this is a really important question. And it's something that I think sometimes gets misunderstood, that people think, oh dear, I don't want to feel sadness or anger or pain because I don't want to grow that. But here's what's interesting about the brain is that when you bring your awareness, your attention, your mindfulness to the sadness or to the anger or to the pain, it's carving out a different pathway in the brain than when you're hijacked by it. Okay, so actually what you're growing is awareness of sadness or compassion with your sadness. You're not growing the sadness. So there's no danger of becoming depressed when you bring your mindfulness to the sadness. And in fact, one of, I think, the most compelling research studies I've seen on mindfulness-based cognitive therapy for depression shows that by bringing mindfulness to these negative thoughts, this negative self-talk, and to your own pain, it actually prevents depression from even arising. Okay, so not only do you not grow it, you actually prevent it. Yeah, great. Any other questions?
I have a question. Is there something specific about mindfulness with young children and mindfulness with, say, teenagers? Is there something we should know about that distinction?
Oh,
Is
there's so much different. Yes, absolutely. And the ways that we teach it, and also in who teaches it. So with young children, parents are still, it's such an incredible teachable moment during these early years, and the parents are still the heroes. And so you can create rituals and culture with your children in a beautiful way. And that's why I wrote the children's book, because it's just so much easier for the parents to relate. Teenagers, which will hopefully be my next project, I haven't quite decided, but they learn more from their peers, right? So it's a different who's going to teach them, and how they're going to best learn. Is definitely kind of a whole different project, but the teachings are the same. So the ideas, the understanding of neuroscience, the understanding of neuroplasticity, that what we practice grows stronger, that we can practice compassion and kindness for ourselves, those remain the same. Yeah.
You have a question here in the chat. How can you help a child experience mindfulness when they have difficulties with attention, for example, with neurodiverse children?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, there's been lots of research studies with neurodiverse children showing that mindfulness helps them cultivate attention, just like it does with all of us. I mean, when you see the research from Harvard showing that 47% of the minds of the United States are wandering, you realize all of us have attention, deficits, and that all of us can train the skill. And so for me, it's really about starting very small, so that it stays interesting. You never want to force this. And so just, 3 breaths at a time, or even 1 breath. What we're doing is just starting to make this resource of attention, right, is something that's salient, that we realize, oh, I can pay attention to attention. I can cultivate attention. Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Heather, I know you said you had one more thought. Otherwise, I'll just chime in right here with my question about self-compassion. Why is it so hard? Why do I feel so selfish when I practice or when I think about practicing self-compassion?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know why. What I will say is that's normal. That's your normal response, is so many people feel selfish, especially I think parents and caregivers. It's like, well, I have so many other things that I should be focusing on. And what I say to myself, because it's hard for me as well, and to everyone else, is that the science shows just the opposite. The science shows that when we treat ourselves with kindness, we're so much more resourced to give our best selves out into the world. That for me, sometimes I have to even say that to myself. By taking this breath or taking this moment, I will be a better mother. I will be a better professor. I will be a better wife or friend. Okay. So I think it's really important for us just to look at the data and to know that. And I think for me, that's really why, my original book, Good Morning, I Love You, I spent so much time with the science to really explain to people the science behind kindness and compassion and how effective it is. And really, my hope is that this book and these teachings reach as many children as possible, because I do think our culture doesn't support this. It's kind of counterculture to be kind to ourselves, and it can be misunderstood, and it really needs the science behind it. Um, so one of the things we're doing that I had shared with you, and I know you'll be sending out to the parents, is we're doing a fundraiser so that we can donate books to children's hospitals and schools and libraries across the country. And for me, it feels like such a foundational part of child development, of how we can resource them, that we offer them children's books and teachings that really give them resources that they can use for the rest of their lives. So I'm so grateful for everyone's time, and I know we're drawing to a close, so I just want to see if there's anything else.
I have one question. You know, I have now adapted these practices, but I have a child who is exhibiting some depressive ideas, even suicidal thoughts. How do I know when it's time to seek professional help beyond these practices, Shauna?
Yeah, that's a really big question. So I want to be very careful with that. And I don't want to give out any clinical advice, as part of this. What I would say is that it's always important, if you're having signs of depression and suicidal thoughts, to seek out therapeutic help immediately. And what I would say about these practices, and I want to be really clear that this is not meant to be kind of an alternative to therapeutic care. This is an addition. These are resources. And again, I like using the term mental fitness training. Just like you would go, you would have your kid exercise, but if they hurt themselves, you would take them to the doctor. You wouldn't say, go to the gym and do this more. So I really see these as resources that we can imprint in our children at early ages that will hopefully prevent some of the mental health issues that we're seeing.
And as you've said, resources that now more than ever are critical, aren't they?
Absolutely.
One quick question, one last question. What do you think is the biggest mistake parents make when they begin this practice? What do we do wrong?
Well, it depends. If you're talking about what do they do wrong when they're teaching it, or what do they do wrong when they're practicing it themselves? But
And we'll say goodbye.
I'll answer both. I think the first thing that everyone does wrong is they start out all motivated and they set big goals, and then they don't meet them, and then they give up. So my invitation to each of you is set the most ridiculously unambitious goal you can. Okay. So maybe it's that once a week, you're going to put your hand on your heart and take a breath and just see if you can do that. So you want to start really, really small, and you want to feel like you trust yourself and you can do it. Same with your children. The other thing with children, that what we found is you want to stack this new habit with a habit that they already do. So if you already have a brushing your teeth ritual, then that's a good time to practice I love you. Or if you're, well, it seems like a lot of people are doing it on their drive to school, which is kind of sweet, but that I guess was a stressful time. And so now they're doing good morning, I love you while they're sitting in their car seat or they're in the back. I've gotten a few fun videos of that. So, again, you want to pair it with something you're already doing so that it's not adding extra time or stress into your life.
That's
Yeah.
great. I love that. That's absolutely going to make it so much easier for me. Thank you. Shauna, every time you come, I feel better after after I say goodbye to you. And I promise you that we can't wait to have you back. Best of luck on this wonderful book. The information is there in the chat if you want to help out with the Children's Compassion Project and the GoFundMe page to spread the word of compassion. And Shauna, this is where we go hug the kids. So we're going to go hug the kids. Okay.
I love that. Oh, thank you
Thank,
so much.
thank you. Be well. Thank you. Take care.